Good morning, scholars. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back from a long weekend. We did not have school yesterday, but we are going to have school the rest of the week because yesterday was a holiday. So welcome back. I hope you guys had an awesome long weekend. Last week, Miss Rossi was in Great Lakes Academy in University of Chicago, cleaning out our classroom. Now I'm back home, and so we're going to get back to some learning. Before we start, I want you to know that we only have about 12 more videos for the rest of the year, and then we're all done. So we only have about 12 more days where you're going to need to do videos, and then we're all done with school. Our last day is June 11th. That's coming up in 3 weeks, so we have a little bit of time before second grade. So I want to make sure that you're trying your very best, just like I know you can. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I started with this picture today, friends, because I miss all of our friends. I miss our DePaul friends. Sorry, DePaul, I didn't have a picture of your emoji party. But here are our UC friends. I miss us all being together in our parties, and this was so much fun. So I wanted to start with this to bring a little smile to your face before we get started today. And I want you to remember how much fun you had in first grade and how awesome it was to be together. Okay, so today we're going to make inferences. And remember, when we make an inference, we need two things. Pause your video and tell me what two things we need to make an inference now. Awesome job. We need text evidence and schema. Good. I want you to pause your video and read the sentence that we use to answer inferential questions now. It says, in the story, I read blank, so that makes me think blank. Good, one more time, I want your hands up with me. It says, in the story, I read blank, so that makes me think blank. Nice job. All right, now today we're going to talk about something that we learned last week. We're going to talk about character change. Ooh, watch my hands. We're going to talk about character change. We're going to talk about good, and character change is how a character changes from the beginning to the end of a story. Ooh, listen to Miss Rossi one more time. Character change is how a character changes from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. Character change is how a character changes. Character change is how a character from the beginning, to the end, good job. Now I want you to look at my little avatar. Now this is my character. We'll pretend this is my character. She can change, like changing her hair or her clothes, or sometimes she might even change her feelings in the story. She might start really happy and excited, and then maybe she's mad at the end. Or maybe in the beginning of the story, the character's really bossy. And then at the end of the story, they're very friendly. So that's called character change. All right, character change. Now in our story today, we're going to have lots of different changes. So I want you to listen for the character change that we are going to be learning about in our story. Today our book is called The Ship of Shapes. It's called The Ship of Shapes. Ooh, and in the story, it's about an island where shape people live. So we have shapes like triangles and circles and ovals and squares and rectangles. And on this island of shapes, something is happening where they have to work together. And we're going to read to find out what the shapes do on the ship of shapes. Okay, friends, before we start, I want you to say the words elder decagon. Say elder decagon. Your turn. Elder decagon. So elder is this person. Watch my mouse. This is the elder. This is the person kind of like the mayor or the president of the town shapes. And it is a decagon, which means it has 10 sides. That shape has 10 sides. So if you look at the elder's face, his face has 10 sides because he's a decagon, okay? So he's the elder, so he's in charge of the island before you start, okay? All right, friends, I want you to go ahead and pause your video and read these 2 pages now. Awesome job. I want to see who's reading through the words and not guessing. Friends, go ahead and pause your video and read these pages now. Awesome reading, friends. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these 2 pages now. Nice job, friends. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these 2 pages now. Great job. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these 2 pages now. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these 2 pages now. Awesome job. Last 2 pages, friends. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these 2 pages now. Oh, one of my favorite books. I like how it's juicy. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our comprehension questions and making sure that we're understanding what we are reading in our story. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. What did Elder Decagon see was happening on Shape Island? In the beginning of the story, what did Elder Decagon see that was happening in Shape Island? Go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. In the story I read, that elders saw that the shapes had become lazy. They became, remember, lazy is a character trait. Lazy is a. So that tells us what the characters are like in the story. In this story, our characters are lazy. Our characters are. All right, so let's think about that as let's remember that that's our character trait in the beginning of the story. Nice job. So they were all being lazy, and Elder Decagon saw that. Next question. Who did the shapes hang out with? Who did the shapes hang out with? So who did the stars hang out with? Who did the hearts hang out with? Who did the squares hang out with? Who did the circles hang out with? Who did all the shapes hang out with? Go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. In the story I read, that the shapes didn't like to spend time with each other. So the circles hung out with the circles, the squares hung out with the squares, the hearts hung out with the hearts. They only hung out with their own shape. Interesting. Why did Elder Decagon come up with a plan? Why did she come up with a plan? This is an inferential question. Let's use our text evidence and schema. Friends, go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. She came up with a plan because she wanted the shapes to work together. So in the story I see, in the first page that she says they were lazy and didn't hang out with each other. So she came up with a plan to get the shapes to work together. What did she say was happening with the big scary fire mountain? What did she say was happening with big scary fire mountain? Go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I see that she said, big scary fire mountain just spoke, and that it will erupt soon. Remember, this is a mountain, and when it erupts, it's like a volcano. You can see in our story that there's a volcano in the background. So Elder Decagon says the volcano is going to erupt, and our pants will be on fire. She says we must leave the island. So friends, I want you to pause your video and tell me, what is Elder Decagon's plan? What is her plan? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that Elder Decagon thinks the shapes are lazy and don't work together. So she tells them that the volcano is going to erupt and set their pants on fire. How did the shapes feel when Elder Decagon tells them that they have to leave the island? How do the shapes feel when Elder Decagon tells them they have to leave the island? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story I read, they were confused and scared. Watch my face. They were confused and scared because they had to leave the island. Otherwise, their pants would be on fire. Excellent job. Let's go to the next page. What did the animals do? Or sorry, not animals. I got tricked. What did the shapes do about the fact that the volcano was going to erupt? What did the shapes do? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that they should build a ship. So the shapes started to build a ship. How did each shape make their ship? Listen to my question. How did each shape make their ship? Use your text evidence and pause your video to answer that question now. In the story, I read that each ship was meant for only one kind of shape. So let's look at the picture. The triangles made a triangle ship. The ovals made an oval ship. The squares made a square ship. So there were lots of ships on the beach, but they were all for their own shape. What was wrong with the oval's boat? What was wrong with the oval's boat? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that the oval ship will float, but it won't move. So what should the shapes do? What did Elder Decagon tell the shapes to do next? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that Elder Decagon said, you should build one big ship. But why didn't the shapes cheer this time? Friends, why didn't the shapes cheer this time? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that the shapes didn't cheer because they weren't sure how to work together. They were not excited because they didn't know how to work with other shapes. Let's go to the next page. What did Elder Decagon show the shapes in the sand? What did she show the shapes in the sand? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that she showed them that the square's sails would move the oval's boat, the triangle's bottom would keep it from tipping, the star's propeller and the heart's oars would help the ship move. So all of the shapes went into the ship. So each shape had a duty to do on their ship, and each shape had something to get done or had something to help with on the ship. Ooh. Why did the shapes stare at the drawing but not move? Why did the shapes stare at Elder Decagon's drawing but not move? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I know that the shapes didn't know how to work together. And look at the drawing. All the shapes had to work together, and they weren't sure what to do. But then Elder Decagon says, your pants will be on fire. So they can't waste time because the volcano is going to erupt. All right, let's see what happens next. What happened with Big Scary Fire Mountain? What happened with Big Scary Fire Mountain? Pause your video and answer that question now. They waited for the mountain to erupt, but it never did. The mountain never erupted. What did Elder Decagon try to teach the shapes? What did Elder Decagon try to teach the shapes? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that Elder Decagon says, it shows that if you work hard together, you can go anywhere and do anything. So in this story, Elder Decagon, she pretends that the volcano is going to erupt so that all of the shapes on the island won't be lazy and that they'll start to work together. So she teaches them that if you work hard and if you work together, you can do anything. And that's something that you should know from first grade in our classrooms. You see in the fall. We so many times worked hard as a class together and we did some awesome things. And so that is exactly what this Elder Decagon is trying to teach the shapes. Awesome job, friends. Let's go to the last page. What did the shapes decide to do at the end of the story? What did the shapes decide to do at the end of the story? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story I read, they decided to work together to make Shape Island a better place. So instead of being lazy and being mean to each other, they decided to work together and to make it a fun place for all of the shapes. They also decided to explore the seas on their new ship. Wow. So they worked together to build that awesome new ship. And now they decided they were going to go exploring the seas with that ship. I love that. Okay, my last question for you is, how did the characters change in the story? How did the characters change in the story? Tell me what they were like in the beginning of the story, and tell me what they were like at the end of the story. Go ahead and pause your video and tell me how the characters changed now. In the story, I read that in the beginning of the story, the shapes were lazy and didn't hang out with each other. At the end of the story, the shapes learned to work hard and work together so that they can do fun things. So in the beginning of the story, they were lazy and not very nice to each other. At the end of the story, the shapes learned how to work hard and work together so that they can achieve things on their island. Ooh, nice character change, friend. That's some second grade work. Great job. If you got that character change question correct, give yourself a pat on the back. Good. If you tried your best, give yourself a big hug. Awesome job. Okay, let's go to the last page. I want you to know today and every single day, even if you don't see me, I am so, so, so proud of you. I am proud of your hard work. I am proud of your endurance. If you are still learning, even when you were learning at home and on YouTube, awesome job. Give yourself a round of applause. Beautiful job. Okay, friends, don't forget to watch your other 3 videos today, Miss Javity, Miss Cherney, and Miss Marsh's. Don't forget, you need to do Lexia and Zern for 30 minutes each today. And don't forget to read a book. Miss Rossi will see you soon. Great job today. I'm very proud of you. Bye-bye.